What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here with some more Madden 21 updates. Yes, more updates for the most updated Madden of all time. Now, we just got a small update that definitely shows what EA is trying to do with Madden 21 right before the last big update of the year, which should be coming probably the first week of April. So we're going to talk about what's new, we're going to talk about the direction they're going, some of the things I've been hearing, and what we can expect in the last update of the year that is the one where they try to save the game and preserve it until the next year's game comes out, which will be Madden 22. Now, we're going to get into all that in just a second, but really quickly, I want to let you know that today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is a all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence to run your business. I'll tell you more about them and how to use my special offer later in the video. Now, this is the time every year where EA tries to save the current game and preserve its life until the next game comes out, much like 2K does with their NBA 2K game, like EA does with FIFA. All of these yearly games, they try to get those last updates out to really preserve the life until the next year's game comes out, because they don't want people falling off of their games, especially with microtransactions and stuff like that. The more they can keep people on the game, the more money they stand to make. And it's no secret that every year around this time, Madden is usually at its worst state because it's been out for many months. People have broken everything that could possibly be broken about the game. They figured everything out, and that's when EA finally takes that big shift and tries to steer it in the direction that they want to go, and it kind of lets you know where they're looking to go with Madden 22 as well. Now, the small update we just got isn't crazy, but it actually does do a very good job at changing some of the problems with this game from a more competitive level when you're playing online. They've made some really good changes here to try and alter the life of the game, much like they did around this time last year with Madden 20, where they tried to buff the run defense, they tried to buff certain abilities and things like that to make passing a little bit more advantageous. This year, it's kind of been the exact opposite. It's not so much of a runner's game, it's more of a passer's game, but the biggest thing that has been kind of holding the game down is man defense this year, especially when combined with certain abilities. It's just made it so easy to play defense, and it's just been a pain, especially for those that play Ultimate Team, where you can customize which players have what abilities. So they've done some ability point limit updates, which is really going to help steer the game in a better direction, but it also lets you know what they're looking to address in that final update that will come out in April. If you remember last year, the last update of the game was in April, so it would make sense that they're going to do that again this year. And you also have to take into account this game actually came out a month later than Madden 20, so really they're definitely due for that last update to at least be in April. Now, with this brief update, they definitely changed the one step ahead ability, a meta that we've seen all year. It says here players will now only be able to activate no more than 2 of them. Also of note, you'll see a few changes to help incentivize using linebackers over safety in the sub linebacker position. Now, that's been the meta all year, people putting one step ahead abilities on all of their players, putting safeties at sub linebacker, so you pretty much just have nothing but DBs on the field. All of them can play good man coverage, half of them have one step ahead ability, which means they literally mirror your route as a receiver, and the receiver abilities don't quite counter them as good as they should. They've also increased the ability point limit from 12 to 15 so that you can actually use more abilities, but they've also made it to where you can't spam certain abilities on all your players, because clearly it's been a problem with the game that they haven't been able to get under control. And as you can see here on the game, there's tons of abilities. Some went up, some went down. They've actually made some of the abilities cheaper for linebackers. Some of the abilities that make usering a linebacker actually make sense. The reason nobody used linebackers in this game is because they completely nerfed them this year to where they couldn't get those lurker type interceptions or cover a lot of ground like a defensive back would. Now, this is a change that a lot of people wanted, but it kind of goes against their whole purpose of making that change at the beginning of the year in the first place. They wanted it to be where you could fit throws into tighter windows to where linebackers couldn't lurk all over the field. And now, because man defense has been so good, they're trying to actually get you to take some of these DBs off the field by making linebackers more powerful as kind of like the give and take to the whole situation. They've also decreased some of the abilities for pass rushing and things like that. So they've really made a lot of changes here, some good, some might argue that some are bad, but if you can make man defense less powerful, I do think that is better for the game, because you're really seeing a lot of games now where people are just sitting in man all day with these abilities and nobody's getting open, and it's just not a fun experience. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Like I said in the beginning of the video, from websites to online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Look, maybe y'all didn't know this about me, but I've actually created a few websites in my day. I used to own a music blog and various other sites before I did YouTube, and believe me when I tell you, building a website is very tedious and it's annoying. But that's why I love Squarespace, because with them it isn't. isn't. They make everything very streamlined for you. They have templates that you can customize to fit your needs. Their traffic overview gives you access to all the analytics that you need to grow your website, and I love the fact that they make it extremely easy to embed videos, which for me is great because I was able to create a portfolio for my YouTube channel in no time at all. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/EricRayweather to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. So what does this say about the last big update of the year that's coming in April? Well, number one, it looks like they're going to try to address man coverage. They're already getting ahead of it with the AP stuff and the abilities on certain players being limited. Well, they're probably going to try and nerf man coverage a little bit, but the problem with this, as we know, is if they nerf man coverage at all, it's going to go from being really good to probably being useless. But on the other hand, zone coverage has not been that great this year, specifically deep zones. They do not defend the sidelines well, as we've seen this problem in years past. They have been a little bit better at defending some of the one-play touchdowns, not all of them, but all in all, they're just kind of useless, and that's another reason why people are going man. They either need to nerf man a little bit if possible, or they need to buff the zones a little bit in order for people to want to play more all-out zone coverage. Now, in terms of abilities as a whole and superstar players, I don't think we're getting that update. I've been asking for it for months. We only got one of those updates this year. They were supposed to do multiple like they did last year, and they just didn't do it. This late in the year, I just don't see them doing that. It's always a possibility that they could do it one last time before the game ends, but I feel like if they were going to do that update, they would have done that months ago, like right after the Super Bowl at the latest. It just seems weird if they were to do that now, so I'm personally not expecting that, but people have been asking. Now, in terms of playbooks, this is another area they lacked this year. They've done very minimal playbook updates after promising us that they were going to do a bunch of them this year. They didn't even ever officially announce any of the ones that they did do, but I think this is a time where they could look to do a big playbook dump with some new plays and formations, just like they did late last year, because again, not only are they making changes to try to make the game better and kind of fix the metas, but if they want to keep people in the game and preserve its life, they got to give you new content, and playbooks are one of the biggest areas where you can do that, especially with the NFL Live playbooks being added to the game last year. Give people new formations, new plays. Maybe this changes up how people are playing. It doesn't always happen that way, but there's a chance that it could change up some of the metas in the game even potentially, which again, at this point of the year, that's how you make people stay on the game. You have to switch things up. You have to take away what's been going on all year. They didn't do the best job of that in Madden 20. Maybe they can do a better job this year, but that's something I think is possible. In terms of things like franchise mode, that's done for the year. They did their 3 franchise updates this year that we have covered on the channel every step of the way. They added some features that people wanted, but the big updates are coming in Madden 22 as far as we know. So franchise mode is done for Madden 21, so don't expect any more updates there. In terms of modes like the Yard and Superstar KO, I wouldn't really expect that to get too much more updates this year. Maybe the Yard gets a few things added here or there, but I don't really expect much in the way of that. I think it's going to be mostly gameplay stuff, because at this point, preserving the life of the game is mainly fixing any of the leftover things with gameplay that you can fix in your last update, making the meta different, hopefully adding some new plays, tweaking some of the stuff that's been a problem, and then we go on to playing for the next few months, those of us that are still going to play until Madden 22 comes out, which we hope is definitely better than Madden 21. So just wanted to update you guys every step of the way. Make sure to subscribe, turn the bell icon on if you're new and you don't want to miss these videos. Check out some of these other videos on the screen here, and I will see you guys next time.